Welcome to the Highline Herd podcast, where we dive deep into the world of horses and the people who love them. Join us for new episodes every Sunday as we explore everything from horse care, riding tips, and anything else equestrian related. To keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Highline Herd. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Highline Herd. I'm Skylar.
I'm Shelby.
And today we are going to be talking about practice runs.
Yeah. So when you're planning on traveling with your horse, trying something new with your horse, going somewhere new, whether it's campground, showground, you want to make sure they're ready. Because there's a whole lot of chaos out there in the big wide world.
Yes. And being able to practice in a safer environment first before you go out and do whatever it is you're going to do is ultimately a lot better, and it'll protect you and your horse.
It really, really will. And, like Skylar said, a safer, controlled environment allows you to have more control over your horse's reaction and how you handle your horse's reaction. Because sometimes when our horses lose their heads, it's easy for us to lose ours as well.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I learned when I first, went to my first show was if you've got people around you who can step in, learn to walk away. Let them take your horse from you, and you walk away and take a breather.
And also, it is 100% okay to do this. If you have the people in place, obviously.
If you have the system there to help you, use it. Mm-hmm. Use it. Lean on those people. Let them help you. Let them guide you. Just as you want to help and guide them, let them do the same for you.
Exactly.
There's no shame in walking away. There are so many horse owners I see going out, and I'm like, and I see them with a group of people, and I'm like, let someone else step in for a minute. And just go take a breath.
Well, and that's a good point, too. So a lot of this episode is going to be based on our personal experiences and kind of what we have learned or what we have witnessed.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of I's and we's and, because this is one of those things that truly you're going to have a hard time going into the Google box and saying, how do I prepare my horse for this circumstance?
Yeah.
What you're going to find is the same thing. You're going to find articles and posts. Those are all firsthand experiences. Those are all biographies, basically.
People sharing what they have personally gone through or seen.
Right. So if you're looking for like a scholar's review of the perfect way to desensitize your horse,
there's not one.
There's not one. Because they're so varied. How you're going to desensitize Willie is not how you're going to desensitize Valor.
Yeah. Like we always say, every horse is different. Every horse and rider pairing is different.
Absolutely. I know Valor, I can kind of just put some pressure on him and push him through, and he'll figure out, oh, I'm not going to die, and he tries. Willie can't be pushed.
You can't do that. You gotta just let him build his confidence gradually.
Yeah, Willie's very easy to overwhelm. Valor, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Although sometimes I question how much Valor's actually paying attention to the task at hand. Whereas sometimes Willie pays too much attention and overthinks the task at hand.
Hey, just like me.
Yeah, right. So, horse and rider pairings.
Yep, I was just about to say that.
This is going to be a lot of personal experience. We'll have a lot of stories in this one. There will be a lot of laughs. So we can't promise it's going to be the most streamlined episode we've done, but...
Yeah, I think our ADHD is going to come out a little bit in this one.
Yeah. A little bit of that neurospicy.
Yeah.
So, one of the... Let's just dive right in. One of the biggest things I see people struggle with when they're traveling with horses is containment. Whether their horses don't tie, don't respect fences, don't respect hobbles. If you're traveling with your horse, I don't care if they have stalls, I don't care if they have fences, I don't care what they have available on site or don't have on site. Your horse needs to know how to tie in every situation, whether it's single-tied, cross-tied, high-lined, picket-lined, patience pole.
Yep.
There's so many different ways to tie, and if you want to know if your horse will tie well, test it at home.
Yep.
Test it in a controlled, safe environment. But the key to successful tying comes down to a good understanding of pressure and release.
Yes.
if your horse doesn't understand how to relax to that pressure, how to not pull back, how to not panic, then they'll tie to just about anything you put them to.
Yeah. If you have a horse that does pull back or does, try to sit back or try to get out of certain tying situations, revisit that, in different scenarios, try to see what works better for your horse.
Right, because we're not going to sit here and say, every single horse should tie to every single thing. Some horses have tying trauma, so, they associate being tied to different things or being tied at all with being injured, with fear, with panic. So, it's about preparing your horse as best you can.
Practice in any way you can to help them.
Exactly. Build their confidence. Build your confidence. Let them understand it is a safe situation. They are safe with you and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're traveling, make sure your horse can tie. Make sure they can give to pressure. And, if your horse doesn't highline, if he has a tendency to, run through without a physical barrier, if he has a tendency to break his halter or break the highline, maybe you need to take that into consideration and hobble him instead of tie him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that's something that we kind of dived into. So diving more into our personal experiences. When we were first trying to figure out what worked best in camping with our horses, we didn't know how our horses would highline. They had never highlined before, so it was a new experience for us,
as well as our horses. So, we figured out, okay, how do you tie a highline? How do you secure your horses to the highline safely?
Yeah.
And, what do you want to do with that highline to make sure you can check in on them? I really like the hack of having a little bell because it will ring as they eat on the hay. But if something actually happens, it will ring much more viciously.
Yeah.
So, you'll really know.
Yeah, a bell for the highline and a bell for your horses, too, is really helpful.
Yeah, if they do get loose, you can at least hear them. Because sometimes they're just standing there and looking around, so you can't go off movement sounds, but sometimes you can hear the bell if they're looking around.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about like a little tingly bell. No, like something like a cowbell that's going to really ring and get your attention.
Yeah, and in that scenario, desensitize your horse to that cowbell. Make sure they don't care about the noise, because some horses get a little about new noises.
And heck, if your horse is sensitive to sounds like that, you can always bring earplugs for them. If that's something that they, accept and are comfortable with.
If they permit. I understand a lot of us don't want to force our horses into things they don't enjoy, but unfortunately for their safety, sometimes we do have to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So even if your horse doesn't like tying to a trailer, make sure they have that skill. If they are sensitive to sounds, make sure they at least know how to work through that, anxiety or frustration. Because we can't always remove them from the situation.
No.
Yeah. As much as we would like to, sometimes things are just out of our control. So yeah. Tie your horses, make sure they highline. Highlining, tying practices, always do it at home first. In a safe, controlled environment where if they get loose, they're going back to the barn.
Yeah.
They're going back to where they get dinner. I'll go collect them while they're there.
Yeah, exactly. It helps in the long run of things.
It really helps take away the stress, too, because you're not, 200 miles from home. I don't know if I didn't realize the tying situation was this way. I don't know if he's going to do it. I thought I could set my corral panels. Well,
yeah.
Situations changed. Will he tie to the trailer? Will he ground tie? I know for Valor, I can throw his rope or his reins around any object and he'll stay there. He won't wander far, and if he does, he's eating.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. He won't even realize he's come untied because he'll be so busy eating. So, those are all things to take into consideration. Will your horse panic if he's tied and can't escape? Will he panic if he gets tangled? Do trial runs at home. Wrap that rope around his legs. Let him drag that lead line and step on it.
Yeah, if it's safe, put him or her in a situation where something were to malfunction or a rope would get wrapped in a certain way, and that way you can see.
Put them in a situation where they might be dragging a board or an entire highline or something. Because if you do these situations safely in a controlled environment, you can have a better chance at controlling your horse's reaction as well as your own.
And get a better idea of how they will react and if you can calm them down.
Exactly. I mean, like we said, not all horses will highline. Not all horses will understand that concept. Not all horses will tie to a trailer. I've seen ones that will, if you tie them anywhere but a trailer, they stand amazing. Tie them to a trailer, they will sit back until that halter breaks or until the trailer breaks. I have seen those horses that you tie them to a trailer, they will just pull and panic until something gives. Whether it's their bodies, the equipment, the trailer, they will just sit there and panic and fight and pull. But tie them to anything else and they're great. So, you gotta know your horse too.
Yeah.
You really do, because some things are just inevitable. You truly might get there thinking you can do it one way, and you get there and they're like, oh, sorry, we just found out today we can't use our stalls. We can't use our picket lines. So being prepared for the different methods of containment is really important.
Yeah. And kind of going off that too, like different facilities have different desensitization there. So say you're at a facility or a show facility, there's going to be a lot of flags and banners and loud bangings.
There's going to be so much going on. So many sounds, so many smells, so many sights. I've been to an open show where they had a costume class. Valor's not a spooky horse. There's very little he cares about. But this one person went in dressed like an eagle and their horse was looking like a flag. He did not like the person dressed as an eagle one bit. He thought it was going to eat him and we were going to have a meltdown over it. And then a car backfired and it was just a lovely moment of him just having a whole total meltdown.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, he's a very steady horse. There's very little he cares about. Things happen.
Yeah.
If you had told me like the week before, oh, your horse is going to have a meltdown over this, and this, I'd be like, you're nuts. That seems like a lot of effort for him to export. Like, come on now.
I mean, I had a similar situation at a costume class myself, too. And, like, me and Willie were dressed up. He was totally fine with everything that was on him. And everybody around me was commenting of, like, wow, Skylar, your horse is so crazy. Obviously sarcastically, because Willie was half asleep, didn't care, wasn't fazed about anything. And something happened, a horse spooked, and he blew up. And, you never know what can happen. So
they're animals. They are prey animals. Their instincts are always there. They will trust you, yes. They will work through things if you've given them the skills and if they trust you. But there are some things, they're animals. Just like we are. They're going to have their moments where they're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And just like you would do with a human, you gotta be able to work them through it.
Well, and they're prey animals. So their first instinct is to get away from whatever the predator is. So
and get away in whatever method they can.
Yep.
So you know what? Those are great examples. Like Skylar said, her and Willie normally work great together. But that one moment, he was done. He was out. Same with Valor. He was good. Nope, there's feathers on a human. That's unacceptable. Like,
that thing's not human.
Yeah, exactly. So, you gotta prepare for the inevitable. You gotta prepare for, some horses see somebody walk in a place and they don't expect them to come back out. So, if people are going in and out of trailers constantly, in and out of bathrooms, food trucks, whatever, your horse may be like, no, I don't like that at all.
That building ate that person.
Right.
Yeah.
They could see someone walk in a trailer, forget that human exists. They walk back out of the trailer and the horse is like, oh my god, you came out of nowhere. You teleported behind me. No, I was in the trailer banging around for 5 minutes, but somehow you forgot in the process of me walking through the doorway.
Yeah.
So it's really just preparation for the amount of, stuff, crap, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be thrown at your horse.
Yeah.
I know plenty of shows and competitions and rodeos will line their fences with banners of sponsors. They'll have walls, they'll have banners on the walls if it's an indoor. So can your horse cope with that? Can your horse still do his job with all of that flapping around and making noise? And because remember, banners and flags have prints on it. So it's not just about the noise.
Well, and I was just about to say too, I see a lot in like shows or competitions in warm-up rings, if said flags or banners have like a picture of a horse's face on it.
Oh.
Some horses can't handle that.
They get so squirrely or so freaked out. Does the arena have a mirror?
Oh, goodness.
Some horses just cannot do mirrors.
Yeah.
So this episode really is going to sound like desensitization, but that's kind of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's practicing all these things in a controlled environment. Valor is not a huge fan of opening and closing gates that have a banner on them. So what am I going to do at home? I'm going to zip tie a banner to a gate, and he's going to have to open and close that thing for the next hour.
And just learn that it's not going to eat him.
It's not this overwhelming, scary, terrifying thing. That to him, it's just a little bit overwhelming. The noise that the banner makes, paired with, me trying to keep him going through the gate really slow, pressing all of the buttons he has in his repertoire. The banner's making noise and moving just so. Practicing that at home in a controlled environment without the stress of an audience.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to feel like you have an audience.
Yeah.
Whether you're camping or showing, you're going to feel like you have an audience because, I hate to tell you, you kind of do.
Yeah.
People are always going to watch the one horse losing its mind. I'm sorry. It's a fact of the horse world.
But it's not something to shy away from.
It's
because
not.
At some point, everybody is going to be in your shoes.
Exactly.
Or in that position.
Because, again, Willie was half asleep. He blew up.
Yeah.
Valor normally doesn't care. In that instance, he cared very much. And you know what? You may have an audience, but it's not always a place of judgment. One of our last trip to Hocking Hills, we rode with a group, and one of the horses decided to have a little mini moment over nothing. The wind blew the wrong way, I guess.
Something.
This squirrely little Palomino was ready to just have his moment over something.
Mm-hmm.
He deemed was important enough to have a moment over.
Yeah.
And that poor guy had an audience as he's trying to wrangle his little pally. But I could see the group, and it was not a place of judgment. They were all very, very concerned about the outcome of this situation.
Yeah, everybody was focused in on, okay, if something goes wrong, how do we step in to help?
Exactly. And you know what? We saw someone ponying their baby for the first time off of a baby.
It didn't go well.
It did not. And you know what? They probably practiced it at home. Probably didn't. Hard to say. But it didn't. It almost ended very badly for the poor guy ponying.
Yes.
But it's about being prepared because those people, that guy got yanked off his horse by the baby he was ponying.
I mean, like, launched off the horse.
Yeah. The horse had wrapped the rope completely around him and just went. And nobody in that group panicked.
No. And that was awesome to see, first of all.
It really was. The guy's buddy was immediately dismounting, ready to grab whoever he needed to grab.
Yeah.
Neither one of the babies panicked or tried to bolt. They were just like, they got confused and overwhelmed. And then, the guy came off and they just kind of froze. They were like, oh.
Assessing the situation.
Yeah, they were like, that's not supposed to happen.
Which, that in itself is great to see. Because that means, you gotta think at least he worked with that.
Exactly. I mean, you can tell the people who do the work and don't. Because the people that teach their horses to think, that guy was riding a 3-year-old, leading a 2-year-old. And for horses that young to stop and take the situation into account is huge.
Yeah.
So, they had to have practiced that at home.
Mm-hmm.
They, those babies had to have had a good foundation of thinking and working through a problem. So, if you're going to go out on a trail and you're going to be ponying another horse, practice that at home. Not all horses will pony another horse. Not all horses will pony. And by ponying, we mean leading a horse with another horse. So, when we say, oh, that horse is ponying, that horse is the one doing the leading.
Yeah.
That horse is being ponied, that horse is following.
Yeah.
Practice that at home. Not all horses have the capability to be the leader.
Yeah, and if that's something you've never done before, it's a good idea just to do it, even if it's not something that you
expect to use. It's a good skill to have because you never know if you're going to have to lead your friend's horse back to the trailer.
Yeah.
You never know if you're going to be, in the show ring, in a roping ring, in a competition, whatever, and somebody hands you their horse. You never know if that's going to happen or not.
Or how your horse reacts to that. If
Some
they
horse-
like it or if they don't like it.
Right. Obviously we want our horses to be well-rounded citizens, but sometimes there's just inevitables. Some horses do not like other horses in their bubble whatsoever.
Just like people.
Exactly. And it's just about respecting that, but you don't know until you see it.
Yeah.
And we really, doing trial runs, doing practice runs, preparing your horse at home in a safe, controlled environment, trying to see their reaction in as many situations as you can recreate will really tell you how best to handle your horse away from home.
I mean, in general, that's just getting to know your horse
It
and their
really
personality.
It really, really is. And, you want to practice ponying, clanks and bangs, coming in and out of trailers. Can they handle all that noise, all that smell, all that sight? I truly encourage people, even if you don't plan on showing, even if you never intend to walk into a show ring with your horse, take your horse to a show arena. You don't have to do anything. Just hang out with them next to the fence line so they can take it all in.
Mm-hmm. Because
it really will help you, in a controlled way, gauge how they will handle that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Because even if you're just camping, some of those campgrounds get loud and crazy.
Oh, yeah. If you get loud music, sometimes campgrounds allow vehicles in too.
Exactly. And you know what? How does your horse handle all those new people?
Mm-hmm.
Because some of those campgrounds, you might be highlined, you might be picketed, you might be on a hitching post, or it's a row of stalls, so strangers are going to be walking around your horse.
Strange horses are going to be stalled next to them that they've never seen before.
Yeah. So can your horse handle that?
Mm-hmm.
And, if your horse can't, say they have dietary restrictions, say they're a stallion, say they're a biter, do you have a sign to tell people, don't mess with my horse?
Yeah. So,
because you said, Skylar, that you had seen a few times at the campgrounds.
Yes. So when I worked at the campground, a lot of the times people would come in and have horses who they didn't want people feeding. They didn't want people touching. And they usually would bring their own signs to put on the front of the stall or in front of the horse saying, do not touch or do not feed, and maybe even an explanation of why. That was a good buffer to kind of get people to stop and think, okay, wait, before I go and interact with this horse, let me read what this says just in case. And the horse people, I noticed they would listen to that. The non-horse people, that was a different story. But it was a big help in those situations.
It really was, because if you can, that's what this episode's all about, making those situations as uneventful, unstressful as you possibly can for you and your horse.
Yeah.
Because things happen, whether we want them to or not. If we know how our horses react and we are prepared for that, it's a huge help.
And you'll be better off in the long run too.
You really will. And I know, you'll probably, hear some of these things and think, well, my horse is only going to be in dressage arena. My horse is only ever going to be at home. My horse is only ever going to be used in an indoor. Great. What's he going to do in the pasture when you're not there to baby him?
Mm-hmm.
If he gets stuck in the fence, does he know how to relax? Or does he just panic?
Or what if something arises where they go to a different place, they do something different that they are not used to? How are they going to react to that?
Prepare your horse for the future you can't see.
Yeah. Not
the one you think is going to occur.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everything with these guys is unpredictable.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. Everything's unpredictable. Costs come up. People have to sell that they never planned to sell. And you know what? Where they may have skipped a part of training because they thought, I'll get to it later when I and the horse are more equipped. Well, now you've got to sell that horse and he's got a huge hole in his foundation.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff you're going to laugh and say, oh, I don't need that. But you might. Can your horse lead off just a rope around his neck? Does he panic if you put the rope around his neck? Can you put the rope around his flank?
Or his feet?
Yeah, can you lead him off his feet? Like, I've seen people do that where they'll gently tug a little bit on the horse's foot, and when the horse gives and follows the pressure, that's the reward. Yes, good, you followed. Because maybe that's what you do. Your horse gets tangled in such a way, and you're like, you've got to walk with this on your foot. Like, you got to deal with it. You know, say they get a branch stuck in their tail, and you don't want them to absolutely lose their mind over it.
Yeah.
You know?
I've seen that before.
Right. I've seen people where they go to catch their horse and they realize they forgot something, because in a moment of panic, you'll forget a halter. Believe it or not,
It happens.
You'll forget. You'll just be so focused on, oh, I gotta catch the horse.
Gotta get it contained.
Yeah, that grabbing a halter or a rope is... Can your horse walk with just something around his neck?
Can the horse get caught by other people?
That's a huge thing, because
Yeah.
strangers cannot catch Willie.
No. So, Willie, I love him. He was abused before I got him. He was beat in some way, shape, or form. So he carries that trauma with him. I know and I understand it, and I understand his expressions of when he's kind of getting in that state of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know. So I know what to expect, but other people don't. He does not like men at all. He does not like my father. He will not let my father catch him.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, in Willie's case, it's never going to change.
No.
He's 20-something years old. He is a horse who does not forget. He expects the worst in every situation. So going into new situations, Skylar has to be prepared for that. Mm-hmm. She has to take that into account, because if he does get loose and she can't catch him for whatever reason, say she's incapacitated or whatever, you know, no one's catching Willie, unfortunately.
No. And that's just the unfortunate side of things. But I try to take as many precautions as possible, and honestly, I've been working with him specifically on this to come when there's treats involved, and that has made a lot of progress. So if he knows that you have treats, he will approach and he will want them.
I still don't think he would do it for a stranger, though.
But for a complete stranger, I don't know.
I don't think he would. I think I might be able to get him, but your dad, even with treats, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he knows your dad.
Yeah.
He's been around your dad for how many years?
Yeah. 8 years.
And there's been no bad experiences here, but Willie doesn't forget.
Nope. No, that's just a trauma that he will carry with him.
So, you know, we can prepare as much as we want, but there's some circumstances like Willie where it's just a matter of how he is.
Yep.
So, you know, if Skylar wanted to prepare for that, yeah, she does the treat training and getting him to come if you have cookies and, you know, you're a female. But, you know, if that fails, what's your backup?
Yeah.
Are you going to put a tracker on him? Are you going to make sure he only wears tack that can break if he gets hung up?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just a bunch of things that you got to take into consideration based upon your horse and their experiences, if you know their past, or just what you see.
Yeah, this episode's all about practice runs and just preparing your horse for the inevitable. You can sit there and say all you want. Oh, my horse is never going to travel. My horse will never get stuck. My horse will never say never. Never say never. Never use that word around horses, because they will take it as a challenge.
Yes. Yes, they will.
Oh, my horse has never gone through a fence.
Well, guess what? You jinxed it.
Yeah. You know, oh, my horse has never gotten stuck. Well, now he's somehow wrapped in the one roll of wire in your field that, you know, just seemed to miraculously appear.
Mm-hmm.
So is your horse going to panic wrapped up in that wire, or is he going to stand there and look at you like, human, can you fix this?
Help.
Right. Like, I know Valor, he's not going to panic. He's going to go to get out, and he's going to realize he's stuck, and he's just going to be like, oh, and he's just going to give up. But the nice thing about Valor is anybody can approach him. Sometimes I wish he wasn't so friendly, but, you know, that is one benefit I have with him.
I think he just expects treats and attention.
Yes. He loves men. He's the total opposite of Willie.
Yeah, 100%. We're the exact opposites.
Right. If I take Valor out to a show or a competition and there's a man on the other side of the railing, whatever I was asking is out the window, because there's a man there. And the man needs attention, and he must pay attention to Valor.
Yep.
So I have had him actually headbutt somebody. Not intentionally. He doesn't realize his head's as big as it is. But he ripped out of my hands to headbutt this guy over the fence, and I'm just like, Valor, please. And it's knowing your horse. I go into situations knowing Valor is more than likely gonna try and look at everything and say hi to everybody and knock things over.
Yep.
He's just a giant toddler.
Oh, yeah.
But Skylar goes into situations knowing Willie is going to be unsure.
Mm-hmm.
She's going in knowing she may have to do a little extra preparation or a little more groundwork trying to get Willie's attention back on her.
Yeah.
So, just practice what you can at home. Practice what you can in a controlled environment. If you know you're going to a show where they like to do gunfire, they like to, they also have car shows, so the smell of diesel and smoke is really strong.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to a primitive campsite, if you know you're going to be packing, does your horse care about clanks and bangs on their back? Do they care about tents? Do they care about smoke? You are going to encounter smoke everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure your horse can handle the smell.
Yeah. And we're not talking about, like, fogging your horse with smoke. No.
Just, light a small little couple of log fire near them. Fire a gun and let them smell the gun smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, prepare your horse for whatever thing you can possibly think of.
Yeah. Because in the long run, it's just going to help you, it's going to help them, and it's going to make things a lot easier.
Yeah, it'll definitely create a well-rounded citizen. So many horses don't know how to use their brain nowadays because they get micromanaged.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine, but you can't always micromanage your horse.
You gotta let him be a horse in a constructive environment.
You gotta let them think through things on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, they're very intelligent animals. I know sometimes they engage in activities that make you question that intelligence.
Yeah.
But they're very intelligent animals majority of the time.
Yeah.
Their survival instincts are strong. Learn how to let them use it in a safe way.
Yep.
So, we know this episode was kind of all over, but it's really just practice what you can in a controlled environment. That's what it all boils down to.
Yep.
So, thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this week's topic. Join us for new episodes every Sunday. And to keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. We hope you enjoy the show. See you next week.